Across the Taiwan Strait, the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Milius performed a very contentious transit. The event has increased regional tensions and angered both the Chinese government and certain Taiwanese politicians. The Taiwan Strait, which separates Taiwan from mainland China, was being transited routinely by the USS Milius, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Due to China's claim that Taiwan is a part of its territory and long-standing threat to use force to annex Taiwan, the Taiwan Strait is a very sensitive region. Nevertheless, the United States has vowed to assist Taiwan and uphold the region's freedom of navigation. The USS Milius saw a flurry of activity from Chinese Navy boats as it entered the Taiwan Strait. According to reports, the Chinese Navy closely watched the USS Milius movements and communications throughout its trip. In a statement, the Chinese government denounced the U.S. for its provocative move and threatened to take necessary actions to defend its security and sovereignty. Tensions between the U.S. and China, who have been waging a protracted trade war and competing strategically for dominance in the Asia-Pacific region, have increased as a result of the incident. Due to the fact that both sides have shown a readiness to use force to further their objectives, some experts fear that the situation could escalate into a more severe armed conflict. In addition to the criticism from the Chinese government, several Taiwanese authorities have also voiced worry over the transit of the USS Milius. In a statement, Taiwan's Ministry of Defense said it was closely watching the situation and has sent its own Navy vessels to the area to assure safety. A more forceful response, including the use of missile defense systems to deter Chinese aggression, has been demanded by some Taiwanese MPs. The U.S. Navy has previously carried out similar operations to demonstrate its commitment to freedom of navigation in the area. Therefore, the transit of the USS Milius across the Taiwan Strait is not the first such instance. But the incident's timing and the current state of the U.S.-China relationship have made it a particularly delicate subject. The U.S. government has justified the transit of the USS Milius as a routine procedure and has highlighted that it has a duty to uphold freedom of navigation in the Taiwan Strait and other parts of the world. A few American officials have also charged China with using the event as a diversion from its own regional aggression and violations of human rights. It is important to keep in mind that the passage of the USS Milius through the Taiwan Strait is just one instance of a bigger trend of rising tensions between the U.S. and China. China has stepped up its military buildup and regional influence over the past few years, especially in the South China Sea, where it has constructed and fortified artificial islands. In response, the U.S. has boosted its military presence in the area and improved relations with its allies, such as Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. There are now worries about a potential military clash as a result of the growing rivalry between the U.S. and China. Even while all parties have highlighted the value of communication and diplomacy, there is still a significant chance of error or accidental escalation. The transit of the USS Milius through the Taiwan Strait has drawn attention to the difficulties the U.S. faces in managing its relations with Taiwan. While the U.S. has vowed to protect Taiwan and uphold its security, it has also tried to stay out of China's way and keep regional tensions from rising. With China's military capabilities expanding and Taiwan attempting to assert its own independence and sovereignty, this balancing act has proven more challenging. It is crucial to remember that the USS Milius passage across the Taiwan Strait occurs at a time when tensions between the U.S. and China over matters like trade, technology, and human rights are at an all-time high. Since 2018, the two nations have been embroiled in a fierce trade war and have put tariffs on each other's goods worth billions of dollars. The U.S. has also adopted a tough line against Chinese tech firms like Huawei, citing worries about theft of intellectual property and national security. In addition, China has been charged with a number of human rights violations, including the imprisonment of over 1 million Uyghur Muslims in internment camps in the Xinjiang province and the repression of pro-democracy demonstrators in Hong Kong. Because of these difficulties, the U.S. and other Western nations have levied penalties on Chinese leaders and businesses, further straining relations between the two nations. Some have therefore interpreted the passage of the U.S. Milius across the Taiwan Strait as a component of a larger American plan to counteract China's expanding influence and aggression in the area. Although the U.S. has not officially endorsed Taiwan's independence, it has worked to strengthen the island's democratic institutions and defensive capabilities. Included in this was the supply of weaponry like F-16 fighter jets, which sparked vehement objections from China. It's also important to note that the U.S. Milius passage through the Taiwan Strait occurs while China's military pressure on Taiwan is rising. Taiwan has long been annexed by China, which has frequently threatened to annex it with military force if necessary. Concern in Taipei and throughout the international community has been raised as a result of China's recent escalation in military drills and patrols close to Taiwan. In reaction to China's activities, the U.S. has tried to reassure Taiwan of its backing and has boosted its military presence in the area. But the U.S. has also tried to stay away from moves that might be viewed as provocative or that could start a war. The passage of the U.S. Milius across the Taiwan Strait serves as a symbol of the American commitment to regional allies and freedom of navigation. It will be crucial going ahead for the U.S. to carefully assess its policies and tactics in the area. The U.S. will need to develop measures to deter aggression while avoiding steps that could escalate tensions or result in a military clash as China continues to strengthen its military and exert its influence. Working more closely with the U.S.'s regional partners and allies could be one such strategy. The U.S. may improve its weight and influence in the region and encourage a more impartial and cooperative approach to regional security challenges by forging closer ties with nations like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and India. How the U.S. manages its relationship with Taiwan will be another important factor to take into account. Although attempting to strengthen Taiwan's democratic and security institutions, the U.S. has also made an effort to avoid any measures that would be viewed as provocative or that might result in a military war. To help Taiwan's security in the future without unnecessarily offending China, the U.S. will need to carefully balance these competing goals. At the same time, it will be crucial for the U.S. to communicate with China and participate in diplomatic relations. There are potential for cooperation and collaboration on topics like climate change, nuclear proliferation, and international health security despite the current difficulties between the two nations. The U.S. and China may ease tensions and encourage more stability and collaboration in the region by finding ways to cooperate on these and other issues. In conclusion, the transit of the U.S. Milius across the Taiwan Strait has raised awareness of the challenging and changing security landscape in the Asia-Pacific. It draws attention to the difficulties the U.S. and its allies face while managing their relations with China, as well as the dangers and ambiguities surrounding Taiwan's security position. It will be essential going ahead for all parties to practice restraint and to engage in communication and diplomacy. To defend Taiwan's security without offending China or running the risk of a military war, the U.S. and its allies will need to find creative solutions. China will also need to come up with strategies to deal with its security issues without using force or military action. Finding ways to strike a balance between competition and collaboration will ultimately be crucial for sustaining stability, security, and prosperity in the region. Building a more secure and prosperous Asia-Pacific region for all participating nations may be possible through cooperating and finding common ground on matters of shared importance. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so you never miss a video. Until next time, see you later.